COVID relief passed last night, House and Senate. Every reason to believe Donald Trump will sign it. I don't know if he's actually physically signed it yet. But here is Rand Paul on the floor of the Senate. Very, very upset. Now, look, we have a tremendous amount of data that show the efficacy of giving people money who are in poverty. We have a tremendous amount of data from just the CARES Act back in March, the implications of giving people money when, not just when they've lost their job, but when everybody was shut down for a month. You've got rents building up, helps take people out of poverty. We had, I think, one of our lowest periods of poverty in the months following the increase in unemployment insurance, federal augmentation, I guess, of that insurance, and also these direct payments. So we know it works.
Republicans saw that as a problem because maybe they're getting $20 more a week than they normally would at their job that pays them a starvation wage.
Right. I mean, the idea that they're getting pulled out of poverty, that could be a problem. That could actually give people who are working a little bit more bargaining power when it comes to dealing with their employers. Here is Rand Paul on the floor of the Senate, talking in very religious terms about helping people out during this time.
Senator from Kentucky.
Republicans like to mock modern monetary theory, the idea that government can print money with impunity, that government can spend whatever it wants without the need to tax. Modern monetary theory is basically the Dick Cheney deficits don't matter crowd, trussed up with a new fancy title. Most Republicans rightly lampoon this quackery, that is, when they're not practicing the quackery themselves. Today, many of these same Republicans will vote for a bill that makes modern monetary theory look like child's play in comparison. The monster spending bill presented today is not just a deficits don't matter disaster, it is everything Republicans say they don't believe in. This bill is free money for everyone. Proponents don't care if you're fully employed or own your own house or own your own business. Free money for everyone, they cry. And yet, if free money were the answer, if money really grew on trees, why not give more free money? Why not give it out all the time? Why stop at $600 a person? Why not $1,000? Why not $2,000? Maybe these new free money Republicans should join the Everybody Gets a Guaranteed Income caucus. Why not $20,000 a year for everybody? Why not $30,000? If we can print up money with impunity, why not do it? The Treasury can just keep printing the money. That is, until someone points out that the emperor has no clothes and that the dollar no longer has value. To so-called conservatives who are quick to identify the socialism of Democrats, if you vote for this spending monstrosity, you are no better. When you vote to pass out free money, you lose your soul and you abandon forever any semblance of moral or fiscal integrity. So the next time you see
Wow.
You lose your soul. I mean, I guess Jesus, who said that it's harder for a rich man to get into heaven than for a camel to pass through the eye of the needle. I guess he was a soulless monster himself.
I mean, I don't know about that. I'm not, I haven't spent that much time studying my late antiquity. But the idea that you lose your soul and your integrity if you provide, first off, let's just talk, because there's so much here that is sort of stunning for him to say. This is a guy, you'll recall the tax cuts that were passed under the Trump administration. The Republicans in both houses passed tax cuts in 2017, creating a massive deficit, massive. Nearly $700 billion, I think it was. And these are tax cuts that, particularly now that we're a couple years out, are primarily geared towards the very, very wealthy in this country. Apparently, deficits don't matter to him, who is religious about this and moral about this, when it's a question of giving free money, because that's what you're doing. There's a certain amount of dues it takes from everyone in society to function this club we have called society or America. And when you are forgiven those dues, you are basically offloading those expenses to someone else. And that's what those tax cuts are. They are free services in kind for wealthy people.
But you don't understand, Sam. There's a cognitive dissonance that Republicans can fall back on, that it's not exactly giving money to people when they're desperate. They can say, oh, we're just diverting those funds, or we're just cutting taxes, right? Even though it's essentially exactly what you're saying, giving money back to wealthy people. It's just not the direct cash payments right into their bank account.
It's, as far as the U.S. government is concerned, it's the exact same thing. It's just a number on a ledger. And the reality is that money does not grow on trees. It actually can be produced much, much quicker. It was done during the financial crisis. It was done now. We can actually give people, and I think there's, he raises a good question. Why not give more money to people, even in times where there's not a crisis? We could give people more money. We could give people more basic services. We could decommodify things like healthcare. We can, in fact, do this. And he doesn't really talk about the consequences. All he talks about is quackery. And when you talk about quackery, you can look back at all the talk about quantitative easing 1 and QE2 and QE3 back in 2009, 2010. And all we heard was that we're going to turn into this hyperinflation like Weimar Republic. And the fact of the matter is that the dollar is not pegged to gold anymore, that there's no reason to believe that the dollar I print tomorrow has any less value than the dollar I print today. That if I print $2 tomorrow, it has any less value than the $1 or $2 I print today. And there's an easy ability by the Fed and by our federal government to control inflation if the economy overheats. But that's not our problem right now.
Certainly not our problem.
You can do that by taxation. You can do that by tightening the money supply. There's many arrows in that quiver. But Rand Paul talking about financial quackery or any type of quackery is in and of itself a hoot.
On his religious ideology of libertarianism, where you can feel like a moral person without actually governing morally, just because you have a strict ideology, as opposed to just taking situations as they are and realizing my job as a senator is to make lives better for Americans, not just act like a college sophomore who's been learning and reading about specific books and applying them directly to my governing philosophy.
We'll talk to Jeff Stein and Elizabeth Pancotti in just a moment about what has been included in this package and what's been left out.